with the week before basically coming out and confirming and giving us a lot of pieces of lore and just feats and contexts on FNAF 1, the originals, and even phrase themselves, I thought I'd basically go back to, my old and not insanely accurate videos on the OG animatronics and basically power scale them to the best of my degree. If you guys do not know, I made 2 previous videos of their scalings in which they're not insanely bad. Well, the first one is. This one's just absolutely horrendous and it's just filled with ratty stuff. But I was like, I'm gonna redo this since the week before came out, gave us a lot of feats, and even Into the Pit gave us some minor sets of feats as well. So yeah, today's video is just gonna be going over the originals animatronics, which is Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, what they do, and how strong are they, basically an updated version and a more accurate depiction. Please, for the love of God and all that's holy, do not ever watch this video. Please do not, because this video is not only insanely ratty, but I don't even agree with any of the stuff in there, or at least I don't agree with a lot of ratty stuff that definitely seems way too far-fetched for the characters of them. And yeah, so we're just gonna start off with their feats. I guess I'll basically cover which sections of the video you basically want to go to. So the first part I'm going to be talking about is the feats in the games. Then I'm going to be talking about the Charlie Trilogy. Then I'm going to be talking about any other medias like the Into the Pit game and even motherfucking the week before. So yeah. So let's get this interesting video started here. Alright, so basically the first feats they have in the original FNAF 1 game is pretty much just that they are noted basically are noted for dismemberment of humans, which we do get context for the week before. Now you can just simply appeal to Versus Battle Wiki's common feats thread of them basically mentioning tearing apart and disassembling humans, which the originals would fall under thanks to the context of the week before. So these feats would just range between the wall levels and have class 5 to class 25 types of lifting strength. And then we have the most impressive feat, at least in the game, and that is pretty much just them shoving the player inside the Freddy Fast Pursuit, and how we are given context of how it compresses the whole body, and by Phone Guy basically causes their eyes and teeth to pop out in front of the mask, instantly killing them. Also, by Foam Guy's description, it's very likely that they basically could shove a metal endoskeleton inside the player. Probably just brutally painful. And for other stuff that is noted within the Ultimate Guide by Scott Cawthons, Foxy basically, when rushing down the hallway, he bangs in the door and it causes up to 5% power and onwards to be drained from the office. Now, the funniest thing is that this is going to get really funny when we go to the week before. Guys, I'm hyping this book up because this book gave us so much context on FNAF, and a lot of the stuff, it kind of debunks a lot of the arguments that you would see random YouTube comments people wanting to say. That's kind of why I'm really excited to get to that book. But we're gonna go media by media. We're gonna cover the games, we're gonna cover the books, and then we're gonna go cover the week before. All right, so the next feat we have is basically Bonnie's able to cover a huge distance within the pizzeria in as little as a second, which this feat was calculated and was around the superhuman ranges. This feat is gonna get another calc, which is still going to be superhuman. It still is a superhuman feat. You could just argue deductively that it's subsonic, but, using some calcs for safety measures is just a superhuman type of feat. The next thing that we basically can have, Bonnie basically in the Charlie Trilogy tears down bathroom stalls while trying to pursue Charlie. We even know that this is basically him holding back, and this is kind of a thing for the originals in general, is that it is heavily implied that they are constantly holding back, as even when Charlie looks at Bonnie's face when he's attempting to kill her, that she describes from having the face of a child who simply wants to play a game of hide and seek. I think there's obviously the scans, I'm showing it on screen, but yeah, so and how playful the originals are in the week before, and even in the FNAF movie, as we even saw, and even in the Fourth Closet, we can definitely deductively say that the originals are not trying all the time, that they see things differently compared to others. The next feat that we have is Chica. When John basically lunges at her and grabs her neck, she basically slams him against the wall, just trying to get him off of her. Once again, I'm just covering the minor stuff before we get into, the really, really insane types of feats that we have for their scalings. And then as we see later on for Chica, she survives getting like an electrocution from Charlie as Charlie shoves just simply a wire that was like electrified into her mouth, and she later on survives this. Her entire body is covered by this. I wish this was calced, but sadly we didn't calc it. It's probably gonna be like around the wall level ranges anyways, or like wall plus, so I don't even think it matters. And as for Foxy, he basically bangs on the door and dents a hole into the metal door. And even John like compared this ramming to as fast, like to as being like as strong as a sledgehammer within it. Like here's the scan basically. The next thing is that we basically have that Foxy bursts within that same door on Jason and Marla, and Marla's even too slow to even notice him. It takes him away. It even describes Foxy having inhuman strength and how this is within a blur, and basically how he like attacked them in. So we can just simply say like this is subsonic speed overall, as subsonic speed is usually like attacking or speed that is basically faster than that of the human perception. This is gonna become something that's kind of consistent for the originals in general. So get ready for that. The next feat that we have is that Foxy breaks into 2 arcades, and even Charlie describes how he threw them like they weighed nothing. If you want to look at obviously the average weight of an arcade, then please do that. Yeah, he just like bashes into them and throws them. I really wish that the actual novel, like the graphic novel, had better ones, but you know, it's a shitty ass one, so it doesn't really matter. Now, now we're gonna cover the twisted ones. So, I don't really want to go over like meh types of feats, so I'm just gonna really skip over this one minor one that I went over. Now, in the twisted ones, the OGs basically tear like the twisted ones apart. They pretty much just beat the shit out of them, mutilate them after the twisted ones tank the explosion, which I'll get to. It first starts off with Foxy jumping Twisted Wolf and just pretty much just tearing into his body and just tearing him apart like nothing. Then Twisted Bonnie was like was dragged into the darkness by Bonnie and Chica and was just torn to shreds. Even Chica taking his head and splitting it in 2. And then we have Freddy basically with earthquake-like footsteps. If you want to rat that, go ahead. Destroying a pile of balloons, balloon boys that basically had illusion discs. And how the originals beat them so badly that that cave connected to a larger Freddy's and a bigger house with massive holes in the cave, like fell apart. I used to say this was City Block, but I'm not going to anymore because there's a lot of problems with the feat. One, it's an overtime feat that happened, and number 2, there was already holes and stuff in the walls, and they were already affected and stuff due to the other explosion that I'm going to mention about the twisted ones, and just simply it being an overtime feat. So I'm not really going to count this anymore. So I'm going to go over the twisted ones, their feats, and where they scale overall. So the twisted ones basically consist of Twisted Wolf, Bonnie, Foxy, and Freddy. They were pretty much just simply animatronics made by Afton, the Charlie novels, to find Charlie and pretty much just bring her to him. But also, he also sent them out hunting people down, spring locking them inside their bodies. And each night, they would basically dig themselves holes in the graves, which were described being deeper than like even like I think funeral type of graves, which I'll just show you simply the scans, and I'll even show like the graphic novel. I don't really trust the graphic novels that much, but you know, just give y'all an idea how deep these holes were. I'll just show it to y'all for God's sakes. So yeah, at worst probably like some wall level plus or like barely small building level types of scaling for them. This is once again just going off like deductives and just us and making assumptions. I'll probably get these feats calced whenever I want to. As for the next feat, Twisted Freddy basically bursts himself through the walls of like the cave of like an older Freddy's location when pursuing John, in which this feat was calculated to be around small building level ranges due to the mass size that Twisted Freddy had, and obviously the cave itself. Which is actually ironic because the twisted ones were even noted to be bigger than that of like the originals. Yeah, got their asses beat. That's actually the funniest part. And next feat, or the most important feat from this, is Twisted Bonnie and Wolf tanking an explosion. So for context, they're basically trying to pursue Charlie, Clay, and Jessica and John, and then they basically decide to go through the lake. They don't expect them to swim, yet ironically, Twisted Bonnie and Twisted Wolf, I shit you not, they swam through the fucking lake, and then they decide to, like, set the lake on fire, and, well, it caused an explosion that burnt Bonnie and Wolf. They did survive this, however, the plates on them were coming off, but they were moving like nothing really happened, and their illusion discs were coming back on. Now, this feat was calculated to be around the small building level ranges and was almost building level, so like small building plus. So it's like small building plus, almost building level feat. The originals pretty much just tore through the twisted ones like butter. So we can just say that the originals are building level, although I wouldn't really go that way since the twisted ones bodies were a little bit weakened. So I'm just going to say that they would be like on a higher level, but it's not that bad to just say that the originals are building level. The next feat that we basically have is that Twisted Freddy grabs Charlie through like the whole, like the walls of the cave, which we do have context of the walls being metal. So probably like some wall level plus or barely small building level types of scaling based on Twisted Freddy's like size and all that shit. So yeah, that's kind of really it. So yeah, the originals so far until we get to other feats, they're basically around the subsonic ranges of speed, and their AP and durability will basically be around small building plus, almost building level. I say basically their durability because I know people want to say, oh, AP doesn't equal durability. Well, in FNAF case, it basically does. Since we have UCN that exists and other contexts where characters basically are wanting to tear themselves apart. Which I did say for Class M lifting strength, Foxy basically tears himself apart and puts himself up back in an instant in the Ultimate Custom Night. So basically I'm going to argue like Class M lifting strength off of this. This is mainly due to like the pretty much just the tearing or ripping apart of steel. Which we do have other cases of calcs of similar things of animatronics doing this types of nature. So the originals in terms of the lifting strength would have Class M lifting strength. Now we're just going to get to the Into the Pit game. In Into the Pit game, Bonnie has noted how him hugging children breaks their backbones multiple times. What's more impressive about these feats is that these are basically memories of the originals, aka these are just ones before they even got possessed. So we can definitely say like on a highball note that the possessed originals definitely would upscale them since they're powered by Remnant and Agony at that point. We're also basically giving context for Chica's cupcake of how it bites off fingers, and also just these other two scans that, you know, just exists, I guess. Another fate that basically comes is Freddy basically tanking, getting an explosion by a firecracker in the game, which was calculating around Street Plus, almost wall level. We can basically just say that the original Freddy would just upscale this and be wall level from it, since this is just a Freddy that was even before being possessed. So yeah, some interesting stuff. All right, I think that's really it for the main games in Charlie Trilogy. So I'm gonna take a little break and I'll be right back, and we're basically gonna be talking about the week before. All right, so now we're basically gonna be covering the week before and the feats that are basically going inside this book. Now, for short context, the week before basically is a prequel to the FNAF 1 game, so it is automatically a canon type book. Now, I'm only going to be going over the most important stuff. There's a lot of feats within this book, and I highly recommend you guys watch the book. Not watch, but just read the book yourselves for most of them. But I'm just going to be going over the ones that I feel like matter the most. So the first feat that we basically have is Bonnie like biting down on Phone Guy, or Ralph, because his name is revealed in his book is Ralph, is biting down on his head. Another context we get is that the original's feats are just instantaneous. For instance, in one ending, when Bonnie and Chica are down the hallway as Ralph is trying to run out of the place, and basically they dash at him. He ends up turning around and ends up getting into Freddy's, as it's described, crushing embrace. So pretty much just upon contact, he gets immediately crushed by Freddy. And Phone Guy also in another ending states how the originals are surprisingly fast whenever they want to be, and is immediately caught by Chica, in which she also crushes him upon contact. I think you guys are seeing the trend. Bonnie and Chica also in another ending tear Phone Guy in half. He compares the pain of this to when him and his daughter were basically breaking a turkey wishbone. It is also stated within the book how Foxy has like faster movements than Bonnie and Chica, so like some inverse. Technically, this would make Foxy the fastest original, as and I'll get to this scan now that I'll mention it. Bonnie is stated in the guidebooks of how basically he moves much faster than Freddy and Chica, so we do technically got our hierarchy of speed differences between the originals in a way. So I thought that basically be interesting. We also have another subsonic feat, Foxy. He basically bursts through like the bathroom doors, and within a blink of an eye kills Phone Guy. We also have like another feat, the context of the stuffing one. Bonnie basically in another ending breaks Phone Guy's arm and drags him across the pizzeria despite Phone Guy trying to struggle, and ends up stuffing him into a Freddy suit. We also get context that Phone Guy cannot outrun Foxy no matter what. Foxy in another ending is basically heavily showed that he is way faster than him. And in a life of death in a race, Foxy is obviously faster in this ending. We also have another ending where basically after Phone Guy shocks Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica, Foxy ends up tracking him down to his own house and breaking through his doors. We also have a possibly superhuman speed feat. Phone Guy basically is implied to have that he fears Foxy will chase after his car and eventually will catch up to him. And also, in another ending, Bonnie is like implied to have torn off Phone Guy's head. And we also have another feat where Chica basically just simply slams Phone Guy on the ground and just stomps his head, kind of like how Michael Myers did Sartain in if y'all saw obviously 2018's Halloween. We also have another subsonic feat. Chica under a flash appears and basically drags Phone Guy out under the table in the dining area and pretty much just kills him. And in the second they get their hands on them. We also got contexts on the OG's weight and how much they weigh. We basically know that the originals weigh about 300 pounds. Along with that, and the other ending of the Bonnie killing, we also know that they're 6 foot plus. Bonnie in this ending basically breaks through the metal vent, mangling it, and kills Phone Guy. And in another instance, within a blink of an eye, Foxy also kills Phone Guy. And also another ending shows Bonnie and Foxy tearing apart Phone Guy, like tearing him in half in a tug of war. And now I'll just get to basically the most important feat that I think was in this book. And is that the originals were planning to escape the pizzeria by storing up, taking the building's power and absorbing it for themselves to basically, take and leave with. And Phone Guy basically gets electrocuted by some of the power of the building, which was 1.21 gigawatts of TNT, in which he is killed by this, which I did do a calculation on this, and my calculation, yes, I do calcs a little bit. I ended up getting around the barely building level ranges, which I then did a highball because they did this pretty much just for 6 nights straight. So I decided to basically multiply the value by 6, and then we end up getting building level plus. So basically they are almost large building level. And then for like the last types of feats that I am gonna go over, I'm gonna just list this off in the screenshot, and I'll just say it as the screenshot goes. Number 1, we learned that the doors in FNAF 1 are new doors. We pretty much know in general that the location is, like, in terms of some aspects, are closed off and a little bit new. The doors are new. And we also got context for the materials of the doors. They're reinforced steel. Phone Guy also asserts to have the OGs bang on them for long, how the doors will give in, which kind of debunks the whole, use doors argument. Yes, they can get through the doors. It's not, like, immediate, but they can't get through them. So please, if someone wants to say doors, just send them the week before and tell them to shut the fuck up. And 4, the OGs banging on the doors causes vibrations, and even in 5, Foxy banging in the door caused jolts to go down Phone Guy's bones. So yeah, that's some really interesting stuff there. I think that's really it for the week before. Once again, there's like a lot of other feats that I could have mentioned, but I wanted to get the more important ones that I felt that were really, really good out of the way. And yeah, I'm now going to get to the original hacks, and I think that's going to be it for us in the video. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, never mind. I do want to mention, I already kind of mentioned this in my other video, but the originals via Remnant Physiology and how Remnant works, they ship partially skeleton to Funtime Animatronics. Funtime Foxy and Ultimate Custom Night pretty much rams his body like across the hallway to the door, which I did do a calculation on the kinetic energy of this. The speed of this was supersonic, and for kinetic energy was small building. Ironically, this feat is actually stronger than A-Train's from the live action boys, so yeah, they're basically rebooting this. The original should partially scale off of this, since basically by Revenant physiology, the fun types only have like a decent percentage of the originals as actual Revenant. So the original should scale to like the full outermost of this. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it, and we're just gonna get to the hacks now. Alright, so now we're gonna get to the hack sections. There's not really an insane bunch to basically go over, so I'm gonna try to speed run this the best I can. For immortality types, it should have type 1, 2, pretty much all immortality types except for pretty much 3. This is via possessing like an absurd capability to take damage to survive the points, and obviously due to their souls, they basically are like naturally dead but also resurrected and also exist in a different plane of existence, that being the spirit world and their spiritual bounds is, which can also be explained in the Remnant page on versus Battle Wiki, which is pretty accurate to the game's novelizations as well. Their other hacks is that they basically have is technology electricity manipulation. They can pretty much just cause the cameras and electrical status of cameras and lights in the office to boom and flicker and go haywire at times, which I can just simply send the scans for those on screen. Via UCN, Freddy, or just them in general, would have like heat empowerment and statistics implication. As the more it gets hotter in the area, Freddy gets faster and more aggressive. Technology manipulation via Bonnie, who basically upon like getting aggravated and jump scaring the cameras, it pretty much deactivates all like the cameras around the place for a temporary amount of time. And body manipulation via Voxy tearing himself apart. In You're the Band, they would have like limited possession because Freddy via his mask basically possesses a boy named Timmy and can just controls him. And they would also have like limited reality warp, since they could change the posters and change some parts of the pizzeria to their events in their tragic past. And via the week before, they basically have shape-shifting and illusion creation. Capelia basically sees Freddy as a kid and her friend, even though Phone Guy, and obviously as we know, that he's actually just animatronic. And also via Remnant physiology, the originals should have basically type immortality and resistance to soul manipulation, along with resurrection, incorporeality, intangibility, sealing, and soul manipulation via the following that's basically on screen. I think that's going to be really it for the video. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, as we are pretty much really close to getting the monetization for this YouTube channel, in which I also want to say thank you guys so much for the support. I plan to put out a lot more content and just, you know, just cool stuff. You feel me? There is like one last thing I do want to go over that I kind of messed up and didn't mention. And the week before, it's pretty much like clear and very heavily implied that the originals are scared of Freddy, and I'll just show this, like, you know, show stuff. And another further example is like when she gets after Phone Guy, Freddy basically is in like the kitchen and he bites down her cupcake and she runs out pretty much just terrified before Freddy kills Phone Guy. So yeah, based on how the week before is, and if you guys already read it, let me know like down in the comments, who do y'all think is the strongest original or most intelligent, yada yada yada, based on, you know, what I've been telling y'all shit. And yeah, without that, this is The Unknown, scaling the originals and redoing my stuff. May God bless y'all, keep y'all safe, peace.